Hello everyone. With this video, I wanted to try to consolidate where we are up to this point, not only with the TZO protocol, with the bigger picture, which affects totally the TZO protocol and what we're doing with that and how it affects the whole. Now, I don't have a script or anything. I don't even have some notes. I'm just going to kind of go with it like I usually do, because it seems to work that way best for me. Okay, so let's take a look at where we are. We have a grid system. You can call it a grid, you can call it a matrix, because it is a submatrix, but it's a grid slash submatrix to the pyramidus radius matrix. Now, I'm not going to go into detail on that. That's already been discussed. And wherever I embed this video, you're going to have links to all of that. So just going to say very briefly that the pyramidus radius matrix is the larger component. It is the platform, the essential platform that moves us, prepares us to move into the new Earth star consciousness, vibration. It's all about energy. So the TZO lectic field, the TZO lectic field, which is also a grid, which is also a submatrix, it is the submatrix within the pyramidus radius. There are many submatrices too within the pyramidus radius. There's also oh my gosh, I haven't talked about it in so long, I can't even remember the name of it now. Anyway, we're going to skip that by for the moment because we're not going there anyway. Okay, it's called the darn, I can't believe I can't remember the name of it. The Emerald, Templamar. It's also called the Emerald Mar, the Templamar. Yes, for those of you who have read my work for a long time, the Templamar, which used to be the most major, foremost matrix on the planet, that was constructed, shall we say, by the higher beings to help us out. That used to be the foremost matrix. And then the pyramidus radius came along, because now we're moving more into the actual last phases before the LP40, Light Principle 40 ascension button, shall we say. When I say last phases, God only knows how long this last phase will last, but that's the terminology Thoth uses. So back from my memory lapse, we'll come forward again to the TZO submatrix. So what does the submatrix do? Well, it is a developing matrix, just like the pyramidus radius is. And as it develops, what it's essentially intended to do is to allow us to have a membrane of connectivity for what Thoth calls a dialogue with Gaia. Now, we all have dialogues with Gaia. We talk to her all the time. I'm sure anybody listening to this does. Out in nature, oh, thank you for this beautiful day. And you put your hands on the earth, you hug trees. All of this is a dialogue with Gaia. So this is not a unique thing. But the TZO lectic field, and TZO, by the way, TZO stands for the actual phi number of the protocol itself. But anyway, we'll get to that later. So the TZO field its uniqueness lies in the fact that it's going deeper. It is actually has communicative codes within it that we have lost. No matter how much our heart is into Gaia, we have lost these communicative codes, part of her language. So the TZO supplies these for us, not magically, unfortunately. It's not like rubbing the Aladdin's lamp and all of a sudden, voila, we have all these codes and we're on this whole new level with Gaia. We have to work for it. We have to dedicate ourselves to making this connection. And there are, I'm sure, myriad ways to do that. But right now, we have this one simple thing to do. I'm going to get to that in a moment. So this grid is really touching into the heart of Gaia. And when we say the heart of Gaia, we're not speaking metaphorically. We're talking about the central sun atoma of the planet. Again, a terminology I'll put a link to, but the atoma is, we have atomas, our solar sun has an atoma. It's kind of different, but it's there. The universe, our galaxy has an atoma. The center of our universe has an atoma. It looks differently, acts somewhat differently in these different formats, but it is still that central core seed, the seed. So the Earth's atoma, and all planets have one, the Earth's atoma is the heart. The inner Earth beings that live within the natural hollow of the planet, and that's another topic because it's slightly removed dimension, and that's a whole other science, so we won't get into that. But those beings often refer to it as the golden rose, because for them, when they look up into their skies, they see her. They see the central sun atoma. It's fluxing with these electrofield clouds that are moving around it and, hovering through it and whatever. And these clouds are so magnetically strong, I think that would be the correct word. Perhaps we could look at it more closely and use another word. But anyway, for now, that'll do. And that they are able to shield the power of the inner solar light so that everybody's not blinded and fried. It's a whole nother field. It's different from the solar suns, the star suns. It has a different way of interacting. It's also moving interdimensionally constantly. So, there's all kinds of things involved. We won't go into that any further. But the point is that is the heart of Gaia. And the inner beings are totally connected to her because she's right there. And they are like just in her field. We are not, because of the nature of how that field works. However, in the past, when people were on the planet and on the surface of the earth a long time ago, they were able to be just as communicative, or almost as communicative, with her as the beings within her. The reason for that was that there was a natural membrane that expanded off the central sun atoma and moved out into the outer atmosphere. It was kind of like a little bubble that expanded. But that bubble isn't there anymore. There's a lot of reasons for that. The change of frequency on the surface of the planet as our awareness decreased on the surface, but it wasn't entirely our fault, say our humanity, because the planet underwent certain changes in its atmosphere, some of which we induced by our lack of awareness, but others we did not. They had other factors. And again, I could go off on that and we could spend an hour talking about that. So I'm not going to. I'm just going to say that happened. And one of the things that happened concurrent with that was the destruction of the crystal ice canopy, or the ice crystal canopy on the surface of the earth. It's still intact in the inner earth. And that we needed that ice crystal canopy in order to operate with the membrane and a lot of other things too. So all of this kind of went poof, and we have little fragments of an ice crystal canopy left, but the membrane is pretty well retreated into the central sun area, the inner Earth. So the piezoelectric field is not intended to be a new membrane, not exactly, not that complete, but it is a substitute in a way. It's helping us to develop a connection to Gaia that we would have had, or at least a facsimile of what we would have had with the natural membrane. We need to understand one thing here when we talk about Earth dynamics at this point in time, and that is the planet is not going to resurrect as it was before in this electromagnetic frequency, in this, to go beyond that, in this whole Earth vibrational frequency, because we have a lot of different electromagnetic zones here, which create different dimensions within the earthen realm. There are dimensions and there are dimensions. There are dimensions that are outside of our Earth entirely. There are dimensions that are, on other time lines that connect to us in the Earth. And then there's just this Earth's other electromagnetic zones that cause it to be in other dimensions, but it's still a part of our Earth field that we are working in here. It's just we can't see it, feel it, or touch it because it's outside of our electromagnetic field. So you see, there's all kinds of different things here. So where was I? The point that I'm making. We aren't going to save the planet the way it is, this planet as we understand it now. We are going to save Gaia, because Gaia, and she's going to save us, it's kind of a mutual thing. Gaia, the Earth soul is going to be transferred to the new Earth vibration at the appropriate time. We all have to get over there, those of us who choose, and then there are souls that will come back and literally escort this planetary genius, as Thoth calls it. He also calls it the planetary genius. I'm going to stick with that, to the new Earth realm. That's kind of, we can't even imagine how that's going to be. I certainly can't, but that is what I've been told. Now, that means we need to look at the planetary genius, because when it is escorted across, we're all there, those of us who have chosen, this physical body of the Earth that we have here is going to disintegrate one way or another. It's just going to be gone. And the souls that are left are going to pass on and go to another realm, another world entirely, where they can be supported for their continued spiritual development. Now, no God finger is going to point and say, oh, you stay and you go. It's up to our souls. There will be souls that will actually not choose to go. And they will not choose because they are not ready to go. They just can't accept their godness enough to move into that more divine space. Now, and I'm going into this in a little detail because it's important to what we're working with here with Gaia. So I just have to. I'm trying to keep this short, but it's almost impossible. Souls that choose not to go, some of those in the very last, what Thoth calls the 11th hour, will say, you know what? I changed my mind. I feel I can do this. I feel I can do this. And how are they going to be helped at that moment? Because it's going to be a last moment thing. So there's certain souls that are programmed in their inner being, just like there's certain souls programmed to come and help the planetary genius across. There's certain souls that are programmed to come and help those 11th hour souls across. They will have already crossed over the ones that are chosen, but some of those are going to say, whoops, I got to come back just for a minute here and help, these last-minute souls move across. It all has to do with the changing of environment, the energy frequencies of the planet, what's going on at that time. It's not going to be easy for these souls to just suddenly say, I'm going, I changed my mind, and just step across some imaginary line. That's not the way it works. There will be a frequency field of change. It's going to be difficult for those souls at that last minute to move across, so souls will come back and help them across. So I want to give just a tiny smidgen of the complexities of this and all the different facets that work together, because it's important to understand that we're not going to save the planet as it is. Certain light code frequencies of energy areas of the planet will literally, those codes will be transferred and moved into the new Earth. It's important for that, for reasons I just can't go into here. It'll take forever. But the rocks and the soil, are going to go. And that means that the physical fleshy bodies that have stayed behind are going to go. So we can't save this. But what we're doing is developing a frequency situation that allows the remaining time that we have left. I say I'm not speaking of like our own individual lives, but as a humanity, the remaining time as a humanity that we have left in this old earth, so to speak, is productive, is not hampered by things like 5G and some of these other horrible things that are going on, GMOs and all of this stuff. It's not going to be so hampered by it that the souls that have chosen to move through this portal are so impeded they can't do their work to achieve this full register of light principle 40. So we need to work with the planet to be able to have the highest degree of clarity possible on this planet, literally as it is breaking down. Now that seems a contradiction, but it really isn't, because we have to remember that there's the pyramidus radius matrix. Now that is the platform that allows us to do this, that allows us to live physically in physical bodies, as a human race I'm speaking now, in a modality that has the highest definition possible. It has not left the planet, it's still part of it, but has the highest definition possible of achieving this goal without being people, suffering horribly. You can't work, you can't do your job if you're impeded by things like 5G and chemtrails and GMOs and even 4G. We have to have some kind of a stability in order to operate, and that's what the pyramidus radius is about. It's not like we pack our bags and we all move to some particular area of the planet. That's not what it's about. It's a frequency. And when we, as a humanity that chooses the new earth, step into that frequency, and we don't have to be tall angels to do it, then we're going to find ourselves in a pseudo another realm. We won't have left the planet, but we will have moved into a state of consciousness that allows us to see, feel, experience things that we need to, and that we will be protected from all of this horrible stuff that the others choose to do. So the TZO grid is that in between, is that the TZO grid is doing its job by connecting deeply into the original code language of Mother Earth, the heart of Gaia, where until it's transferred, the planetary genius still resides. And the planetary genius, in a very quick statement on that, is the intelligence of Gaia commingled with the intelligence of humanity at its highest and bestest. So you have all the good of all of that, the succulent seed of her and us, because there's really not that big a separation. They have differences, but you know, we're together in this, and we're of the same cloth. And the planetary genius keeps all of that memory, not just memory, beingness of the good that we are, beingness of the greatness that Gaia is, and the motherliness that she is to us. It's all in the planetary genius, and more than we can even put into words. Who we are as the truest soul self, Gaia keeps in her heart, and that is the planetary genius. Now, while we're working with the TZO, the TZO-electric field, sort of lost my train of thought. It's kind of hard to keep centered on all of this stuff. While we're working with the TZO is giving us a facsimile of that ancient membrane. So we can have this communication, this dialogue with her. This dialogue is essential in our being able to help stabilize what's going on right now, just enough that it helps us to move into the Pyramidus radius matrix, where then we are really helped. But right now, we aren't enough in the planetary matrix. We're taking baby steps, but we're not there enough to see the etheric pyramids, to go inside them for regeneration, to have a whole other field that we need to work with. So what we're doing now with this membrane is just making that connection and being able to have Gaia reach out to us into this outer field. She had to withdraw from it in the heart. I'm speaking the heart of Gaia. So that now she can roll up her sleeves and say, let's take care of this 5G situation here. Let's do some other things that need to be done to keep the house in order while the house is still standing. So on your screen here, you see the TZO-electric mandala that I was given for us to work with on the left. And on the right, you see an artistic version of a symbol that is the doctrine of signature for the planetary genius. Now here we go to another level. The doctrine of signature of anything is the signature that identifies that. We have a doctrine of signature. The planets have a doctrine of signature. And it identifies it on a cosmic, spiritual level. It says, I see who you are. I see you. So this is the doctrine of signature for the planetary genius of our planet, of this planet, Earth. It's powerful. It's not just a symbol. It is very, very powerful when it's used appropriately. And it can't be misused. So we're going to be working with this in some very specific ways as things develop. This symbol, and I'm going to switch my share here, so because I want to show you. Here is another version of it that's simpler, but I wanted to show you this because the red is how he drew it. I did not draw this symbol. This was drawn by the hand of George L. Lawrence, who has had degrees up the kazoo and was the inventor of the world's first laser engine, and on and on and on. He has a long list of achievements. And he came into my experience in 1974. He invited me to work with him in his newly established institute, but he didn't have enough funding at the time. However, we went back and forth on this. We'd had a lot of discussion, and my mother was involved, and she discussed it with him a lot as well, my mother Doris, because I was 25 years old at the time, I believe. That's, I guess, kind of not a child anymore, but I was rather young. My mother and I lived together, and we did the sacred work together, and that was pretty much it. So George was very on board with my sciences that I brought through from the Akasha, from pre-Thoth. Well, Thoth was always with me, but I couldn't communicate with him directly then. It was the ultras that were guiding me and telling me if Thoth was coming, or my mentor was coming. They didn't name it. So that's how long ago this was. And we actually started communicating with him, George, not Thoth, George, in 1972. And the communication ended abruptly in 74 after George had been talking about he was delighted that the government was interested in his work. Well, then George disappeared. Apparently he died in 1994 or 5, something like that. So he was still on the planet, but he was shut down. He was totally shut down. His institute disappeared. Other colleague friends like Dr. Bird, who was the co-author of The Secret Life of Plants, who George put me in connection with, and Bird was going to put me in his book, but that didn't happen either, you see. He disappeared from Bird as well. Bird said, I don't know where he is. He just disappeared. So he was shut down. And just before he was shut down, he had this major dream experience that he wrote my mother about to share with me. I don't know why he didn't write me directly, but sometimes he didn't. They were good, became good friends too. And he told her about this dream in detail, and I have it on, I'll put a link to it all in with this for those of you who haven't read it. But in the dream, this symbol appeared, and he was so struck by it, he felt he had to share the whole dream with me. It had to do with me, which I did, and not entirely to do with me, but I mean, I was involved with it. And this symbol that was drawn by a Nubian goat on the floor of a sacred room, which I feel well, I know as much as I can know anything, that it was in the inner earth, because some of the things that happened to him had happened to me in the inner earth. So anyway, in the inner earth, the Nubian goat drew this symbol in red on the floor. I don't know that the floor was gold. I don't think so, but for the sake of the symbol, to bring it out, we have it in gold here. So I wanted to show it to you. This was drawn by his hand. I touched it up a little bit to make it prettier because it was drawn in uneven ink color, but it was red. And this is the color red. So here it is. Now I'm going to talk a little more about this symbol. Maybe I should just go ahead and do it now because I might forget it. As you see it here, only in a circle form, we're going to have it on Shungite stickers, because Thoth has told me that to put the planetary, the doctrine of signature for the planetary genius, which is such a long statement, so we're calling it the Gaia signature. To put the Gaia signature on a Shungite sticker is incredibly powerful. It will not only boost everything that the Shungite does for you on your phone and on your computer and on your Wi-Fi box and everything, but it also will send the signal of Gaia, because the Shungite can send signals to the source of the transmission, the source of the transmission of the phone, the source of the transmission of the smart meter, the source of the transmission of the Wi-Fi box, the source of the transmission of the computer, and so on. The Shungite has the ability to send whatever's on it back to the source. So when you put this Gaia signal on there, it's going into the ghost box, ghost in the machine. It's going in there where they're going to be doing, all of this stuff. It's going in there. So this is important because it has the transformative power to change things. Now, I'm not saying that if you put this on your computer or your phone, that you're going to be protected from 5G. Believe me, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the potential is there to take the ghost out of the machine. How that's going to turn around, how it's going to happen, I don't know. We already know that shungite will protect you from 4G, or at least for the most part it will. At least that's what I received. That's what Nancy Hopkins has proven more or less, or has people on that have proven this, the ability of amazing product for shungite to do this, but not 5G. However, as I said, the combination of this planetary Gaia signature with shungite on your electrical devices, on your phone and your computer and such, has the potential, if it's done by a lot of people, at least, I don't know how many lot is, but the more people, the better, to take the ghost out of the machine. So, just sort of look at that symbol for a moment. Just breathing it in and just being with it is powerful. To have it on your computer screen. You know, I've made some prettier versions of it that you can use. They're powerful too. You know, we're choosing this to go for the sticker because we want nothing but that on it, so that it moves directly. That signal moves directly through. But the prettier images are, you know, inspiring and activating, and they have different signals that are working with that to interact with you. So any of these can work for visual contact. You know, I'm speaking about putting them on your computer screen, even printing out some of the prettier ones, perhaps to put on your wall. My gosh, if you had a huge one of the, let me go find those just a minute. I'm going to put this on pause for a moment. Okay, so here's one that I've done for that's free for people to grab, to use on, you know, on their computers or whatever. And then for computer screens, or you could print it out or whatever for your altar or whatever. And then there's also for portal members of my subscription portal, I have also had this one. And that one. And the influence of the art and the color and the visuals, you know, is all part of inspiring one to become more connected to the symbol. But then, you know, for what we have for our stickers is going to be something simpler that really just gets to the core of it. And this is it. This is what Dear George drew with his own hand that I've just, you know, tidied up a bit, but it's the same color, and he was the one that drew the strokes of the image. So now I want to get back to my topic here, so I'm going to go back to this screen share. So let's see where we are in all of this. Okay, we want to talk about, there's two last components here that I can see. One is that this is a developing program. But actually, I should go first and say that the TZO protocol, as it stands now, is that very simple affirmation, summoning, if you want to call it, whatever, that you speak. Declaration, perhaps, is a better term. That takes you about 3 minutes to say it. So every day, going into the wholehearted experience of it, putting everything else aside from your mind, taking some deep breaths, just saying that protocol in front of your altar, out in nature, wherever you want to do it, that inspires you, that you feel connected. To do that at least once a day. You know, there are going to be times that even those 3 minutes don't work for you. If something happens, it just doesn't happen, you know. But try your best, because it's only 3 minutes, to do it 3 minutes a day. However, it's important that you click on all the links on that original TZO page that you go to where everything is and the other pages are listed, that you click on all these links at least once and you read what is there. You don't have to understand it all. You don't have to read it again and again. You don't have to memorize it by any means, and you're not going to be tested on it. You're taking it into your subconscious. One reading of it, when you're giving it true time to do it and not thinking about a thousand other things, but you're actually reading it seriously, one time is going to take it into your subconscious. Now, if you were hypnotized, genuinely hypnotized, and someone asked you to quote verbatim any of these things, all of these things that you're going to be reading, you would do it flawlessly. But your conscious mind would go, I don't even remember one word I read. Maybe, That's okay. It's the subconscious that we want this information wedded to. So when you first go to the TZO to work with the TZO protocol, please click on all the links and read all the information. And that includes the pages that have at the bottom that I'm linking to this. You don't have to do it all one sit down, but before you really start the TZO protocol, you need to read all of this just once. And I mean, you can read it more than that. You can study it if you want to. You can memorize it if you want to, but that's not essential. Okay. You also need to look at that video that I have on that page before you start the short version of the TZO. You need to look at it at least once, but I'm recommending about 3 times before you get into it. Again, you don't have to figure it out. What is in the video that I've filmed in Second Life, so we have the ambience and the visuals of everything, is like a dream experience. It's different from the short version. In the video, you go here and then you go there and then you feel this and then you feel that. You don't have to say, wait a minute, now let's see, I'm here, how did I get over here? It's like a dream. You just let it move through you into your subconscious. But I'm recommending with that at least 3 times. And then you can say, okay, I've done that. Now you go to the short version of the TZO that you do every day. You don't have to go back to any of that other, but you can if you want to. This makes it simple, easy, and fast for you to work with, for you to help the planet this way. However, this is going to be expanding, but the expansions don't mean that you have to, become more and more complicated with this. You can say, okay, I'm going to read everything that is put out here once, but I'm always going to just stick to the short protocol. You can do that. I have a feeling, can't say for sure at this point because I'm not the one in charge here, as far as I'm concerned, that the Thothic beingness, the Thothic stream, the Thothic intelligence is going to at some point say, here's another version. Here's a deeper version. Here's a suggested version. We can do this. We can do that. But there's always the baseline. You can say, I just don't have time in my life to do that. Don't drop it all. Just stay with the baseline. Because even when we're moving up to other things that we could be doing, the baseline will always be there and it will always be viable. I'm saying all of this because I don't want people to get overwhelmed and say, I just can't handle this. Got to take my kids to soccer practice. I've got this or that. I can't go any deeper than this 3 minutes. So I'm just going to give it all up. Don't give it up. We need you. We need your participation. Just stay with the 3 minutes if everything else is just too much. But please do at least once. Read whatever is put out. It's not going to be volumes, I'm keeping it, both is keeping it as streamlined as possible. So let me see if there's anything else here that I wish to say before I conclude. Yes, there's one final thing, and that's about the stickers again. I forgot to mention that we will be making them available per donation. And the suggested donation is one thing. We're going to give a suggested donation. But if you feel you can't meet that suggested donation, we'll give it to you for whatever you can, $1 even. But the main prerequisite of getting these stickers is that you're serious about it, that you're really serious about working with the TZO and, working with that energy, working with this Gaia signature. I'm going to be saying more about how we can work with the Gaia signature within the TZO, and all of that. So if you're thinking, well, no, all I can do is just do this little short version and that's it, and I don't want to go off on the Gaia signature and all of that. We don't want you to just stick it on your phone or something and just say, okay, that's it. No, we want people to have the sticker that will connect to it, that will work with it. When I say work with it, I'm not talking about hours of work. Just be cognizant, be serious, pay attention, and be connected to whatever we put out about this, what Thoth and I put out about this. So that's the main prerequisite. We would appreciate the suggested donation. These stickers are, don't grow on trees. I wish they did. So anyway, that, I believe, concludes this video. So thank you all for listening, and God bless you.